This is Lady Myya. Hello, you guys. We are back. Another podcast. Woo-hoo. You know how we do. Okay, so Sister Sledge right here. I got somebody from the UK, you guys. UK. Our sisters and brothers. Yes, definitely. Okay, so her name is Lindsey Hood, and she is a phenomenal lady. Okay, she really cares. I'm telling you why. Because she's a life coach, and she wants our lives to be better, just like we want our lives to be better. Just know it's going down. And so we're going to talk to her. Okay, so she's going to tell us about the life coach that she does, the type of life coaching, because I think that is going to get you guys, and why she started it. So, my Mayan tribe, please welcome Miss Lindsey Hood.
Hello.
Hey, girly. Okay, I am so excited and I'm so elated. I don't know how to say it, you guys. You know, everything is backwards with me. But yes, this is just such a great and grand opportunity to find out what is happening across the waters, you know?
That's a bigger topic.
I think we're all holding on for dear life at this point. Okay, so tell us about when or why you actually started being a life coach.
Okay, so I started life coaching, or I qualified as a life coach in 2012. Before that, I worked for a large financial institution for the best part of 17 years. They went through a restructure, offered voluntary redundancy, so I took that and retrained at that point to be a life coach. So, and then as part of that journey, you do a lot around your own self-analysis and development, and I started to realise I had a bit of a behavioural pattern, which I'll go into in a bit more detail later, and when I investigated this, it had a name. It's called the imposter syndrome, and that's kind of how I got into the specialism that I have at the moment, which is life coaching women on overcoming the feelings of being an imposter.
An imposter, y'all! Okay, I told you it was going to be interesting. Now you're going to be glued to the screen. This is all I'm saying. Okay, break down the imposter syndrome, please.
Okay, so it was a term that was first coined actually in 1978 by two psychologists, Dr. Pauline Clance and Dr. Suzanne Imes. And they had did some research with high achieving women, and they were within an academic environment, so a lot of them had doctorates, PhDs, but what they found is these women often hadn't internalised their success. So these women often were saying things like they felt like a fraud, that they felt that they got there by some kind of luck or deception on their part, and they never actually really felt that they deserved to have the success and accolades they had, regardless of the fact that they obviously were absolute genius in their fields and totally deserved to be there. They then kind of broadened out that research, found that men were just as likely to be struggling with these feelings, and statistically up to 70% of people at some point in their lives are likely to have these kind of really intense self-doubt feelings. And the reason it's called the imposter syndrome is because you feel like a fraud, you feel like you're an imposter, whether it's within one area of your life, in a lot of areas. And these feelings can ebb and flow over time. So you might feel like an imposter in one particular area, so maybe your career, but not in all your relationships. And it might be you feel like it in the first 3 to 6 months of starting something, but once you feel a bit more confident and competent, those feelings go. So it's one of those things that it's not like you have it and you necessarily have it forever and in every situation. It can be quite contextual as well.
Wow. I don't know what to say, because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, like, why would they even think that? Now, okay, granted, you guys, I'm gonna be real. That's what I'm gonna do. I guess, I'm kind of climbing up the ladder, and I really don't think, I'm as successful. And it's different when you're already successful and you just don't think about it. And you're like, that doesn't even make sense. You did all this for what? Like, why? Why? So, like, was this I guess then you really start to have to ask the question, who did you do it for if you didn't do it for yourself, right?
And I think it comes back, and this is where when I'm working with people, it's very much trying to, what I describe it as kind of aligning the inner and the outer worlds. So like the outer world is all of the success that everyone else can see, but the inner world is that feeling of you don't feel that you're worthy, you don't feel that you're good enough, that you feel that maybe you've got to keep trying really hard on everything to prove yourself over and over because you haven't taken that and kind of internalized it. As you said, you've done all of these things, but you've not made it part of who you are as a person. It's just maybe something you've done. And I think actually one of the biggest things with the imposter syndrome is, I think it often comes about because we do a lot of comparison all the time with everyone else. And so I kind of liken this to, we have this, we're acutely aware of everything we've done, everything we've been through, and then we look at everyone else, but what we're seeing on them is what they're showing the world. It's not what they're feeling. So it's that kind of you're looking at them going, well, it might be the Instagram live, Facebook live, everything. Yes. Perfect hair, they've got the career, but you're not thinking, oh, but maybe they struggled, maybe they got up this morning and they weren't feeling great. Maybe they've had an argument with somebody. Maybe they didn't handle a situation particularly well. You're just seeing this outward sign and going, okay, they're great and they're fully deserving of this, so they're not an imposter. Comparing it to yourself with all your own self-doubt, going, well, obviously I'm not as good as them, so I must be an imposter as a result of that. And I think it further illustrates to me, I did some independent research a couple of years ago on confidence, and one of the questions I asked participants is, whose confidence would you most like to have? And Michelle Obama tops poll. So I was like, excellent, yeah, I'm totally with you. But I don't know if you're also aware, Michelle Obama has said that she struggles with the imposter syndrome from time to time. So we perceive this woman as extremely confident. We know she's extremely capable. We love her. However, so that's the outer world, but her inner world is she sometimes still has intense self-doubt within that. And I think that's the bit where the imposter syndrome kicks in. It's that alignment between what everyone else is seeing. And I think that's the bit where the imposter syndrome kicks in. It's that alignment between what everyone else is seeing and what you're feeling. And what you're feeling, as we know, is most important.
Yes, it is. Okay, something came to me just now, and I thought it was just something that we could talk about, because I think this would be interesting. When we grow up and we have parents, of course, they try to tell us, oh yeah. And then when you hear the back end of the conversation and it's just like, oh, well, they did this and they did that. And then it just makes you feel so bad. So now you feel like everything you look in the new glasses is that's not good enough. And how they respond isn't good enough. And so now we're like, okay, we need that over the top thing, just to kind of, maybe dull the pain just a little bit, but not to necessarily make it go away. Right?
Yeah. And I think growing up, we can pick up on so many cues, and it can really affect how we perceive ourselves. So if, for example, you've got a sibling and maybe they're more academic or more sporty, so they're the clever one or the sporty one, and you're the creative one, you kind of have that label in your head. And then every time you try and do something that isn't within that label, you've got a risk of feeling like an imposter, because in your head as a child, you're like, well, I'm the creative one. So if I then try and do something academic, that's not who I am. That's not what I should be doing. That's what my sibling does. So I think there is that kind of element as well where we, and it happens all the time, parents do the best that they can, but it's sometimes those kind of little cues that you pick up, and children do it to themselves as well. It's not just the parents or teachers do it and things like that. And some people it doesn't, they go through, it doesn't, but other people that it becomes part of who they are. So in their head, they're always the creative one. In my head, I'm always the SWAT because I did well at school and I, always have a head down and everything. Right. Even today, I call myself a goody-goody. It's that kind of that label, and I identify into that. So if you're susceptible to that, you will identify, and that becomes part of who you are. So then when you try and do anything that's not part of that label, you potentially are going to feel like an imposter, and these feelings of self-doubt are really going to rear their heads.
That's true. So true. Wow. I mean, it's so much to undo or, just unpack, when it comes to people in general, especially with feelings. A lot of people feel things that they shouldn't feel, and then, but to find out why they feel that way and to get to the bottom of it. But I think a lot of times we don't ask the correct questions to ourselves, just to even get a fairer understanding of why we feel the way we do or why we respond. And I really agree with you when you say, that Facebook is the worst. It is, because, okay, let me just be totally real with y'all, and I'm going to be real with my fans too. You guys, you can please say something about this. Please say, I know I need help. It's okay. Before I started my podcast, I wanted nothing to do with social media. And I would go on Facebook twice a year. Twice. And I would sit there because I don't want to see nobody else's life when I'm trying to fix my own. And this is why I was able to have, so much freedom, because I didn't look at anybody as threatening. One, I didn't want somebody else's life. I wanted to live my own life, and I didn't want anybody to say anything about my life. So yes, it was interesting to say the least, but I thought it was just normal because, like, me coming up, okay, so when I came up, there was the Tandy computer and that was like in the 90s. And so, we got a computer, but we wasn't about the computer. My mom was a secretary, so I wanted nothing to do with that. I was just like, oh, good. Typing. Why? Because you're a girl. Forget you. I'm going to work on cars. Whatever. I know, right? And so it was different, but at the same time, like, it gave me a sense of myself, and different things like that. And now I'm trying to, I guess, unravel what that is. We have to talk about that one, Miss Lindsey.
But I love the fact actually that you didn't go into the social media and you're making it work for you rather than being a slave to it, which a lot of us, unfortunately, I've done it before. You catch yourself scrolling and before you know it, hours have gone past and it's not productive and you're not feeling great about yourself. And it's not like you can't even say it is actually social media because you're not commenting and you're not engaging. It is almost just that eating yourself up or seeing what everyone else is doing rather than making it work for you and making it this productive. Because don't get me wrong, I think there are some amazing things that have come out of social media, but it's making it work for you and taking the good and not, just falling into this black hole of comparison.
Yes, I just okay. So my mom would call me, Jesus Lord, that woman. I love her to pieces. That's my best friend. And so she would call me and goes, "Oh, well, get on Facebook because such and such had a baby." And I'd be like, "I don't want to see their ugly baby. I just want to be." She's like, "Girl, just look at the babies." I was like, "Fine." It wasn't that I was bitter. It was just like, I just was so against it. And I was just like, all right, fine. Because I didn't want to fall into what everybody else was doing. MySpace was big when I was, younger. And I was just like, oh, okay, I got me a little MySpace page, had my little music up there and everything. And then, that went away. And I was just like, oh, I guess that's over. And just never really wanted to go back. And so now it's so interesting. I've met so many very, very interesting people. And it's just been so phenomenal. And okay, let me ask you this, because I'm sorry, I took away from our whole interview. That was all on me.
No, you carry on. Your show.
I feel like, where do we even go from something like that? Okay, the internet goes away like 3 days. How many people will jump off the bridge? Oh my God.
Yeah, I was going to say, it is so ingrained in our lives. It would be a huge change. However, I think one thing this year has shown with the pandemic and everything else is actually how resilient we are as a race and everything else. So actually, maybe, and sometimes I think it might be a good thing, if I'm honest. I would like to think we would be okay.
Right.
But yeah, it would be a very different world.
Yeah,
at the moment. But as I said, at the beginning of the year, I think if anyone had told us the year we were going to have, none of us were going to believe it. So actually, at the moment, gloves are off. I have no idea what's going to happen.
I think it's just interesting because I'm like, okay, we all live through social media. I mean, like you said, we have to make it work for ourselves. We have to, I think we should just be better at it. I don't think we should spend so much time on it because now it just got to the point where, people are so compelled and they get so involved in just stupid stuff. Like I got a message this morning and it really bugged the heck out of me. And it just took a lot of my energy. And this guy inboxes me this picture of Hitler and says, yeah, we need to redo the redo something with legislation or what have you, something stupid. I don't really read into those type things, nor do I want to see it. I was just like, wait, why is this even up? Who are you? And yes, there's a lot of people that are up there, but at the same time, I'm like, no, this is not what we do. I'm like, first off, I'm a Black woman. Okay. Secondly, we don't like people that kill people. Like, I just don't. I don't have the stomach for it, you know? And so, like, now, like, people just lose it. They find so much stuff, you know, on the internet, and then they go to believe so much of it, and just, oh, well, yeah, because this happened. I believe it happened because such and such said so. And that's what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. Really, though? This is what we're going to do with this? I don't think that's fair. Oh, I'm sad. Not really, but, you know, it bugged me, because I was just like, now, I was okay, you know, like this morning, I was just like, okay, you know, got a little bit of the sniffles, and I'm keeping up on my vitamin C, and I'm like, okay, no, good, woosah, we're yellow. See, yeah, got the memo. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be good, I'm gonna behave, I'm gonna, you know, get some work done. Got a good bit of work done. I'm so happy, Lord, thank you. I'm so happy. But now I get to meet people across the world, and it's beautiful, Miss Lindsey. And she's just trying to help us not have imposter, okay? Imposter syndrome. We don't need that. No, we are great people. We can do this thing together. Let's do it. Let's do it. So what do you think we can do?
So there are several strategies that I think you can do. I think first off, though, full disclosure, if you are susceptible to these kind of feelings, I don't think there is a magic cure, unfortunately. So I think with all of this is having like a toolkit of things that you can pull on when you need to. So when you start to notice these feelings of self-doubt, you've got these different strategies that you can go, right, I'm going to try this instead, to get yourself into a more resourceful state and start to build your confidence. So with that caveat up front, I think some of the main things is, one is to remember you're not alone. So if you think back, I said, 70%, 7 out of 10 people. And with women, Tressa did some research, I think it was last year, they think it's up to 88% of women. So that's almost 9 out of 10 women are going to struggle with these feelings. So if we then think about that, I said about the comparison thing, if we're doing that comparison and we're thinking, well, they're great and I'm not, remember 9 out of 10, that means statistically them has to be more like you than you think. So it's kind of remembering that actually you're not alone in this. A lot of people are struggling with these feelings, and just because that's what they're looking like, it doesn't mean that's how they're feeling, and take some comfort in that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think another strategy is to reframe your thinking. So what I mean by that is, at the moment, if you get those feelings of self-doubt, what you might be doing is going, well, I'm not good enough. If I was good enough, I wouldn't be feeling like this. But we've all got a comfort zone. And by definition, we're comfortable in the comfort zone and we're uncomfortable when we're outside the comfort zone. But whenever we push ourselves, that always happens outside of the comfort zone, because by definition, we're doing something new and different that we're uncomfortable with. So when those feelings of self-doubt start to creep up, maybe a reframe is, instead of I'm not good enough, is thinking this is a good thing because it means that I am growing and developing. I am doing something different and I am going to be expanding through that. Another reframe is the use of the word yet. So again, if those feelings of I'm not good enough come up, put yes on the end. I'm not good enough yet. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this yet. And the reason this is so powerful is Carol Dweck has done a huge amount of research in the fixed and the growth mindset. And the fixed mindset very much is we believe that whatever we are, we're in a fixed state. when you say I'm not good enough, it's actually a fixed mindset. You're saying I'm not good enough, and that's what I'm never going to be good enough. That's just facts. As soon as we put yet on the end, we move to a growth mindset. And in our minds, we've just opened up that possibility. We're not saying that it's going to be tomorrow or the day after, but we've said there's a possibility of potential in the future that we're going to be good at this. And just by doing that can actually help to shift and start to align that inner and outer worlds.
Wow.
So there are just a couple of strategies that I would definitely recommend people try that aren't huge, but they're shifts. And I think that's it. It's just finding those little things that start to shift you to a more resourceful state.
Oh, I love that. I love yet. Okay. Now I'm gonna be saying yet all day.
So easy, because you don't have to actually change your thinking. You just add a word to the end.
Yeah. Okay, so I can stop yelling at my vision board. Hey, now. Like, okay, take it down a notch, Myya. It's okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, so what did we do? Because, like, I think, you know, what we were talking about in regards to the social media. Because, like, I really, really feel like there's something that I want to say, but I don't know how to say it, right? A lot of people that may be struggling a little bit more with imposter syndrome may be the very ones that got 4 and 5 pictures on Facebook a day. Or any platform, and it's like back to back, and you know they're in the same outfit, and they're like, oh, I like this side, but I like this side better. Oh, but this side is you know, and then it's just like, okay, these some great looking pictures. I want everybody to see them so I can get all the likes. Oh, well, I didn't get that amount of likes that I had when I had that other outfit on. Let me redo or get another outfit. And now they're just so like, I have to keep going. And it's not good enough, which is my interpretation of what this is, right?
So there can definitely be that aspect. And I think for younger people in particular, so people that have grown up and have only ever really known Facebook and Instagram, there's some shocking statistics out there in terms of like how many pictures are taken before, you know, and it's people can spend hours just getting a picture to look natural before uploading it. And it's just, well, it's funny, but it's also that kind of, it's scary, the fact that we've built this society now that kind of feels they have to live in this perfection, which, and the thing I always think is perfection is so subjective, because my idea of perfect isn't going to be the same as yours, and it's not going to be the same as somebody else's. And we spent all this time cultivating what we think is perfection, as you said, to get likes and everything else, where actually somebody else may not like it, but they may not like it because they're jealous, but we don't think of that. They may not like it because they just genuinely don't like it. They may not have seen it. The algorithms on Facebook and Instagram hide X percentage of, you know, posts and things. So there's a whole heap of reasons, but we put our own meaning towards it. And if we are struggling and we're thinking that we're some kind of fraud and, you know, that we are an imposter in our lives, this is just going to intensify those feelings.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that horrible?
It's not helpful at times, I'll be honest.
No, I think it's like, okay, I grew up, right? And I guess I had to say this. Okay, so my family felt like you don't want to take that many pictures because you don't want to seem vain.
Okay.
And so that's always been my mindset. Like, I don't want to take a lot of pictures because then I don't want to be vain. But I think it's fair. Like, I love your hair. Oh my gosh, I want it. Like, I want to put it on my head. I love your hair. And I'm like, she's wearing that bob, man. I'm like, I love it. And I think you look absolutely amazing. Your smile, your eyes, when you got a big smile on your face, your eyes smile too. It's crazy. It's like, I love this. I love this. And this is what I think is really important. We need to engage, and the more we engage, I think the less likely people will feel the way that they do, because then someone else can tell them how they feel about them and where they are. And it's just like, oh, well, I didn't think about it like that. Why? How did you not?
But it's true, that human connection, that engagement, that different perspective, and realizing sometimes how you've impacted somebody's life just by being. And we spend so much time now on phones. It's sad when you go to restaurants and things and you've got families all sat there on their phones rather than having conversations. I think that human connection we are losing, which is, social media could be a great way to enhance that. Where, because to be fair, I would never have connected with you if it wasn't for social media. So I'm very grateful, and I have so many amazing things to connect the world, that it's that in addition, it's not instead of. It's that kind of actually, how do we integrate it better rather than having this all or nothing, which I think it's starting to feel like we're moving towards a bit.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Ooh, that's not good, right? That's not. I think for the most part, what you are helping with is so needed across everything, like across absolutely everything. Instagram, Facebook, Tuber. I'm still trying to figure out that one. LinkedIn, especially because there's a lot of people that have these huge jobs, and they are like, I'm trying to look for another job. And it's like, you're on LinkedIn with a great job, looking for another great job. Like, dude. But at the same time, like you said, they don't think they're enough. And I don't understand.
No. And it's that alignment. It's getting people to appreciate where they're at. If they want more, then that's great. We put plans in place and do it. It's getting that accurate assessment of where you are at the moment, who you are, and appreciating and acknowledging your own strengths. Because I think we all focus so much on our perceived weaknesses, and there's always things to improve. It takes a lot less energy for us to focus on the things we're good at and get better at them, and that's what we've become known for then. And it takes such a little amount of time to get better at those things than it does all that effort on the weaknesses to move marginally, because it's not something that's natural to you. But society, again, you think about it in schools, it's always the bottom grades they tell you to work on. If you're getting a B or an A, they don't say, well, you need to focus on that to get better or more confident. It's always, let's focus on the ones you're not good at. At work, you have your appraisals. It's not normally the things you're good at. It's, okay, you've done X, Y, and Z, but we need you to get better at these things. And I think sometimes if we can flip that on its head, that would also potentially help people to kind of go, okay, I can accept that I'm not great at that, but I will acknowledge that I am really good at this instead.
You did it. Oh, yes. I challenge my Myya track. Okay, so if your boss tells you that you did something bad, make sure to focus on what they said you did good.
Yeah.
Yes, as you fix the little bad stuff,
yeah,
focus on the good stuff. you know?
Exactly. Yes. And I always recommend people do that attitude of gratitude at the end of every day. And I do it myself, I look at 3 things that I'm grateful for, what's good. So no matter how bad you feel the day was or the event was, we are generally also fortunate there is good still in the world and in our lives. And if we can focus on that, that's helping to rewire our brains to constantly be looking for the good rather than the negatives.
So, you are an amazing, like she's so bright and just sunny, just warm, just oh my goodness. Okay. Woosah. Okay. I told her that earlier. She's just like, ooh, like, oh goodness. All right. So if there's anything else you would like to tell my Mayan tribe, the floor is yours, dear heart.
So I would just say, if any of this is resonating with anyone, take a breath now and listen when I say you are worthy, you are good enough, you are in whatever position you are in life, because that's where you deserve to be at this point in time. So listen, try and internalize what I'm saying, own your successes, and if nothing else, when you next look in the mirror, look yourself in the eye, say, I'm good enough, I love you, because you do love yourself, and just take that breath in that moment to accept and acknowledge where you are at the moment and that you do deserve to be here.
He was talking to me too, y'all. Oh my goodness. I think that is such a awesome and phenomenal thing to say. It really is. And a lot of people, we need to hear that. There's so many things and so many times we just do not, believe that we're as good as we are, I even tell people, and the reason why I have this platform and this podcast is to let people know that, okay, if you don't like your present situation, you can change it. She's saying you can change it by changing your attitude. Attitude is gratitude and gratitude is attitude, or something like that. Hers was way more brilliant, y'all. Way brilliant. But to say that, I think that is such an amazing thing, Lindsey. Like, I mean, wow. Okay. I love it. And I only, I hope this is not the last time I get to talk to you, because this is so much fun. This is too much fun. And I'm like, you know what? Yes, let's talk, girl. Let's talk. Please, talk about it. He's like, yeah. So when you hear from somebody, you let me know. We can talk about it. Have some fun. Certainly. Okay. So please tell my Mayan tribe how to reach you, dear heart.
So I have a website. It's www.lindseyhood.net. And you can email me at lindsey@lindseyhood.net. Or I am on Facebook and Instagram, even though we have just said about how bad these platforms are, but I am on there and I have pages full of positivity, and you can find me both under Lindsey Hood Life Coach.
I know, we did say that, didn't we? Oh my goodness, Myya, no, don't do it. Okay. Well, you know what? It's good if it's bettering your thought process. I will say that. But if it's not, and it's bringing you down and it's making you feel bad about yourself, let's put that thing away. Let's put it away. Or find something else. You know what? You got the internet, right? You know how Google has it? Google has, because I type this in just about every day. Give me inspiring quotes. give me, and they have all types of little things that come up, and now I have it to where it's overtaken my phone. But still, that's fine. Okay, as long as I'm still happy and everybody around me is still happy, and I want to make everybody happy. And I think, you really have the power. If you don't think that you don't, if you think that you don't, you guys got to reassess. Really have to reassess, because there's people out here that have it and they don't think they have enough. Really? Really? So you can do what you can do, and you can empower someone else to do something great too. So why wouldn't you want to? This world doesn't, revolve around just one person as much as we want it to be. But it is here for all of us, and just to have that person that you have in your mindset that you're like, you know what, this person is decent. I like that, and I just want to make sure that, they get somewhere in life. When you think about somebody else, you take a lot more pressure off yourself. Is that right, Miss Lindsey?
That's very right, and it's actually a strategy. Another strategy if you are struggling with the imposter syndromes, and when they got those feelings and that self-talk started to come up, actually focusing on somebody else and either helping them or having a conversation, your mind has to then focus on them, so it stops having that negative self-talk. So not only are you making that other person feel better and feeling valued and helping them, you're actually helping yourself, because simply by focusing on somebody else, you can't be having horrible thoughts about yourself anymore. So great strategy there. Well done. Thank you.
I guessed right, y'all. It came and I was just like, oh, by the way.
Well done.
I think this is so much fun. Really, I don't want to go. Oh my goodness, but this is where we have to woosah. We have to say au revoir. We have to do something, you guys. But I will say this. Okay. I thank you so much, you guys. My Myya tribe, my super fans, Lindsey super fans. Oh my God, I can only imagine. Okay, because if she's given this much just sunlight, she's got nothing but sunlight over there and where she is. And I know she says it's a little dreary right now, but all she has to do is smile. Just walk outside. It's okay. She's a sweetheart. All right, so you guys, I am on Patreon now, and so just doing that thing just to see, just to see, but to get help with the shows and the content and different things like that. So doing that, and then on the same token, you guys, if you want to be on the show, yes, I'm talking about you on the show here. Why don't you hit me up? And I know that you guys are having a blast, because this was so much fun for me, and I hope it was a blast for Lindsey as well. Who's like, oh my goodness, she is so amazing. Like, I told you she was gonna be amazing. Y'all didn't believe me, but it's okay. Myya, Myya, and you know why? Because your homegirl is special, and we will see you guys later.